I'd just like to go over the last month or so of updates with you because it ends up being a lot to read, so we'll just put this in a quick video. First off, we have Gmail authentication. So if you go to your config, servers, email, you'll notice that you have a new bit at the top, Gmail config, and you can use Gmail OAuth 2. Just select that to true and paste in your email address here. Any settings here will override the SMTP server config, and that will override the use internal mail setting down here as well. And just click the reauthorize button, and you'll be sent to a web browser. Will open with Google's prompt, and you'll put in your password, and you'll do your two-factor authentication if you have that. And then once you've went through that process, you'll have authorized D7 to send email on your behalf. We have a new feature, user folder redirection, under the users menu. User folder redirection allows you to redirect all of your user profiles to a different partition. You may wish to do this, for example, if you want to keep all of your user files, your desktop, downloads, documents, etc., on, for example, maybe a physical hard disk or a secondary partition that's a RAID or something like that, if you have an SSD as your primary. So that would make data recovery easier for you, or reinstalling Windows, and etc., etc. Simply enter in the user path. So you can just do d:// and you'll see the final directory output example down there. You can leave usernames out of it or put usernames into it. All of the options that you select here will save. So the next time you close and open it again, the options will be there again. We've cleaned up the info report and added a few items to it. First off, when you generate an info report, it no longer leaves all of the extra text files in the directory. It removes them. So for example, your battery.txt, which contains redundant information because that's already in the info report. If you wanted to hang on to that stuff and put it back, you can go to config, reports, report options, and do not delete nearsoft text files. And that will leave all of those files there like they used to be. But again, that information is redundant, so they really don't need to be there, and that's kind of why I figured you didn't want them anymore. We also don't generate the info report PDF by default, and you can select that option here as well. The info report has been cleaned up a little bit and a few things added to the software section. We've added .NET framework versions of your current .NET framework and earlier versions. We've added Edge Chromium. We've removed the anti-spyware if it was the same as antivirus. And we've added last boot time and last shutdown time when those are logged by Windows, as well as the last Windows update and whether or not all services are enabled for Windows Update. There's a new shared button at the bottom of d7x, and it appears no matter which tab you're on if there's a major action, a common action to complete on that tab. For the System Info tab, what we've done is we've moved the full auto mode that used to appear up here. It used to be kind of tucked away and hidden. We've put full auto mode on the main button in the System Info tab. If you down click that, on the little down arrow there, you'll get refresh system info and alerts, which will refresh the system info tab. It's just another option for this tab. You can also download and update all apps before you start your installer auto mode. Now, if you're not familiar with full auto mode, just a real quick recap. This runs the auto mode for each tab. Audit, diagnose, malware, repair, maintenance, and tweaks. And it runs those auto modes in that order. Now, as I move tabs, you'll see the button changes. So we're on the Reports tab, and the button has changed to Email Reports. If you drop down, you have the options that you used to have over here. There are Copy Reports, Open Reports Directory, Delete Reports Directory, etc. Go to the Audit Diagnose tab, and you'll see that we have Start Auto Mode, this tab. And so you'll see that's where your auto mode button is now on tabs with an auto mode. If you go to tweaks, and it used to be called auto mode, it's apply all tweaks now because it just applies all tweaks. It only takes a second, so it's not sort of like an auto mode, but it is treated as part of auto mode when you use full auto mode, so FYI. Now you'll see on our D7X Tools tab, there is no button because there's no common action for this. Although I would point out that you can right-click on any custom app list now and click New Custom App at the bottom. There's no need to go through all of that rigmarole to get to the new custom app screen through D7X config. Go to Data Backup. You'll see we have Begin Data Backup as our button. Offline, we have an Auto Mode on Offline tab and our In Session tab, and then we've got Save Settings for In Session on the little drop down. One change is this de-uninstaller button isn't going to be here for very long. In fact, when you click the button, now it just takes you to our new Uninstall Delete tab. This is the de-uninstaller interface from Kill 'Em All. It has just been moved to the main D7X interface. So you've got uninstall standard programs, got uninstall Microsoft Store apps, and we've got file system and registry deletions also moved from Kill 'Em All. And I'll come back to this in a minute. Go back to our uninstall tabs. We have all of our lists. Right click, we've added some options to the right click. The options vary depending on which tab you're on, but we've got a lot of new options that did not appear in the Kill 'Em All version of de-uninstaller. Lots of other niceties have been added to D7X, like for example in de-uninstaller, when you click on a file, it now shows you the uninstall command used by D7X at the bottom. And the de-uninstaller uninstall commands have been improved when de-uninstaller encounters an installer that it thinks is Eno setup. It actually adds a new command line parameter to suppress message boxes during uninstall, which it didn't do previously for Eno setup. It did use the silent command lines parameter, but it did not use suppress message boxes previously, so now it uses that as well. We also have an open in Explorer because we have an install path now. So D7X will try to determine that install path and it will open in Explorer. Now let's talk about the File System and Registry Deletions tab under Uninstall Delete. The first thing you see when you come here is the deleted item results, which won't actually appear unless you click the Delete All Now button. But until you have something to delete, there's no point in clicking that, I guess, is there? Your definition files are 3. There's one for registry values, and you'll click to the left and you'll see that. One for registry keys, this will delete the key and all values as part of it. And one for files and directories, and it doesn't matter if it's a file or a directory, they both go in this definition file. These are blacklist files, and every item in there gets deleted when you click this button. Now, you might not want to actually go here all the time and click that button. This is exactly why you have delete blacklisted items. Right here at the very top, if you just search for delete, you have delete blacklisted items. You can add that to any list you want. You can add that to your malware removal or maintenance list or whatever. And that delete blacklisted items will automatically delete everything in these rule files. And all you got to do is run your auto mode and those are automatically deleted. And you say, what about adding files to the definitions? There has to be an easier way. And actually with this version, there definitely is. The first way I'll show you is through the malware search tool. So go to our D7X Tools tab and go to Malware Search Tool. We'll just start it with the regular user account. And I have in my Windows directory an executable which I want to delete and blacklist. And this is foo.exe. I just kind of put it in there. So you can click on this menu here and blacklist and delete, and that'll blacklist and delete every item that you have checked. Or you can right click on the individual item and click blacklist and delete object. Delete foo. Yes. And it doesn't reset. I'll rescan. And it's deleted. Now you'll see if we go to our uninstall delete tab, we have a new entry for foo. You'll notice it doesn't have c:\windows \foo.exe. It's got a variable in place of that directory, that drive and path. And the variables are defined on the rule documentation, which you can click here to find out what those are. Now I just want to add another item to the delete list. And we can do this. This is just another way through examine file. So I'm going to examine this file. This pops up our examine prompt for d7x, which does all of its various scans and file checking and whatnot and gathers information. You can just go to the actions menu and there's a blacklist file. Just click that. And in this case, this will actually, since you're looking at the file on an individual level, blacklisting the file at this level will actually ask you, how do you want the rule to be made? So you can determine if you want that rule to be normalized. See, this says dt/foo. That's a variable for desktop. If you didn't want that normalized, you could uncheck and you can see it has c:\users/mr.foo/desktop. You don't want that in your lists generally because Mr. Foo is not a user on all computers. So you want to use a variable for that. And so we use our normalized format by default. Just click apply. Successfully deleted the file, as you see. And we'll go back to our list here. And now we have a new item, dt/foo. And if our item actually still existed, we could then just delete here and then you would see the results right here. One more thing to note, you'll also have a report. So anytime that you delete items here or that you delete blacklisted items using the d7x functionality, it will create a report in your malware logs directory for deleted items. So you'll have a log of what was done. Our offline tab now has check disk, the new old thing. And check disk is a wrapper enhancer for checkdisk.exe. It's designed to scan the partition as many times as it takes until there are no errors, or you can fail after a certain number of iterations. It's designed to scan and fix offline, meaning the partitions have to be unmounted. It does not support the Windows 8 online scan, where you can scan the current system partition. This is why check disk is only on the offline tab right now. I would put it also on the d7x tools tab, but currently, like it says right here, it's recommended for use on offline partitions only. Once it's upgraded to work with the Windows 8 and above online scans from check disk, we'll move that to the d7x tools tab as well, or copy it there. But right now, check disk is excellent for scanning offline partitions. So if you have a couple of drives, hook them up to a TechBench machine and scan them. This is perfect for you right now. I would note that I would not use the scan and recover options, the /R or /B option, if the hard drive is failing. You don't want to use those two options. You want to stick to scan and fix. There are a ton of other small little features and fixes and under the hood additions to the last month full of d7x releases, including Windows service repairs for the new versions of Windows. There's so much to list, but you really have to read the release notes because this video is already too long. I do thank you for watching.